the 2023 high school football season in the state of California, at least, more specifically highlighting San Diego County, has officially concluded with the last game of the year, the state championship game, in which the Sweetwater Red Devils faced off against their opponent. Came up short, but the fact that they got that far had Rep San Diego as the only lone team that made it this far into the playoffs, into state, is an accomplishment. There are no moral victories, we all know that, but a strong end to a great year. CIF champions, Sweetwater, shout out to them. But more so, just kind of concluding and finishing out another terrific year, another great season that I hope all the players were able to give it their all, not have any regrets, and to show what they're capable of doing within the amount of contests that they're provided, whether they just played the regular 10, whether they played a couple games into the playoffs, or in Sweetwater's case, whether they went all the way to a state final. Lots to go over, lots to really highlight. I want to highlight specific players. I want to highlight specific games, specific teams, and some predictions that were said. I'm going to cover everything, and I'm really going to get into it, the nitty gritty, my thoughts, my takeaways, and just kind of give a recap and review of the course of the whole season. Now, starting off just off the top of my head, I want to kind of work beginning and the end. I want to highlight what was predicted, what everything was looking like from the beginning of the year, the first few games, and how people were evaluating, and then I want to touch up on the end of the year and kind of what everyone got from these CIF finals and whatnot. Going into this year, I felt that a lot of the games that were going to be covered were going to be surrounded by Lincoln and Carlsbad, and those were the two teams that competed in the Open Championship in 2022. Lincoln coming away with the win, and they ended up being state champs. Lincoln had a great QB transferring in, Achilles Smith Jr., as well as a bunch of weapons at every other position that attended Lincoln. So their team was stacked. They were favorites the whole year. They ended up making the CIF championship. So that was pretty much dead on linear in terms of their path. Carlsbad, on the other hand, probably had a better team, if you ask me, in terms of them returning most of their players from the championship team, because Lincoln lost a few. A few key players, but Carlsbad retained a few and had a couple transfers that really helped them out. Julian Sayin was the man. Mason Walsh, the running back, was a dude, and they had really high hopes of getting to a rematch against Lincoln in the Open Championship. And to be honest, it really seemed like those two were unstoppable the whole year, and they eventually were. Both teams were undefeated going into the Open playoff, but this one team coming out of the East County, the Granite Hills Eagles, had surprised everybody. And not only was the Open Championship lead up in like the semifinals and the finals were all crazy wins, whatever victory, whatever game, even the losing teams put out great efforts because the games were so close and they really were determined off of a couple yards or a couple plays, a play call here or there, a stop. So to be able to witness that, and me personally to go out to all the games, was amazing. And the kids played crazy. They played so hard, and I commend them because all of them played like champions. There wasn't any blowouts. There wasn't any teams that looked like they played scared. Even Helix, I give Helix so much grief and so much criticism, but their game against Lincoln in the semifinal of the Open Division playoff, it could have gone either way, and Helix could have been out there playing Granite Hills for a rematch. So it is really impressive across the board. But Granite Hills was San Diego's champion by far. Just the way that they did it, them going undefeated all the way until the very end. Division 1 1AA bowl, ended up losing to Mission Viejo. Mission Viejo ended up being the winners of state, beating De La Salle. So Granite gets so much credit, and they're so impressive because of where they came up from. The players that they've retained are, I believe, in their region. I don't think that there was really any kids coming from out of state or any kids coming from North County. There might have been, but I believe that most of the kids are Granite Hills kids. Like, these are people matriculating to the high school that are in the zone, growing up in the elementary school, the middle school farm system, and playing for their school, which is really impressive because most of the teams nowadays, and I'm talking about in the United States, get these super teams and pulling kids from different areas is a little unfair. It's unconventional, but the way Granite Hills did, if I'm correct, I don't know everybody on their roster, but from what I'm seeing, most of the kids are from their homegrown, and that just makes the story and makes everything a lot more legit. So shout out to Granite, man. Their victory, beating Helix at home in that double overtime win, to them winning that crazy away game, sold out crowd at Carlsbad, to end up playing at the big stage against a Lincoln powerhouse and beating them for a championship is pretty substantial. So again, credit and shout out to them, man. So much good football this year. This was, I think 2021 had the best players from top to bottom. Mater Dei winners, Patrick Henry winners. This is the CIF champs, by the way. Who else won? Helix, they won in 2021, right? They had the best players, but I think 2023 this year had the best teams. The best cohesion from all of the teams that were playing. And it wasn't just the open teams. I'm talking a St. Augustine. I'm talking a La Jolla Country Day. I'm talking a Mission Hills. I'm talking a La Costa Canyon. I'm talking Fallbrook. Like, even some of the teams that didn't advance and that ended up winning and going the whole way, these were really good teams that were assembled. And I think that a lot of these teams, minus Saints and Granite, had very top-heavy senior classes. Helix had a top-heavy senior class, I believe, this year. So those kids will be missed. They had their chance, but hey, everyone's trying to win. So some teams may come up short, even if they are the better team. But it was really, really cool to see all the teams play and compete as well as they did. And congrats to all the winners. Granite Hills Open, St. Augustine Division 1, Del Norte Division 2. Shout out to Del Norte. They had a great team. I think senior heavy team. Division 3 champs La Jolla Country Day. Division 4 champs Mount McGill. And then Division 5 Sweetwater. Shout out to all those teams, man. Everyone did well. Everyone played hard. I thought across the board, everyone balled out. So this was a great, fun year to be able to watch high school football and to be able to witness all these games. Everyone brought great energy. It was just good all the way around. Let me address my criticism, because you know what I'm saying. Mr. Fantastic has to be able to not just give out flowers, but dish out some criticism too. That's just the way it goes on this channel. That's just the way things work. And y'all know who's first on my list. Well, it's going to be a couple teams, but starting off the block with criticism, West Hills High School, Division 3, all the teams Division 3, El Capitan, Fallbrook. Even though Fallbrook had a great team, all the teams that lost to La Jolla Country Day, in my opinion, kind of get a pass because Country Day was really good. Those are the D3 champs. Ended up beating a questionable Grossmont team by 40, 50 points in the championship. All these teams in Division 3, all the teams that lost that had a chance to make it further than they did deserve criticism because all the teams were beatable. And I'm saying La Jolla Country Day themselves were beatable. A Mission Bay ended up losing to Grossmont is a bad loss. A West Hills losing to La Jolla Country Day in the first round, having home field advantage, is a bad loss. El Capitan losing the way they did, throwing 17 interceptions against a bad Mission Bay team, is a disappointment. All the teams that were playing in Division 3 that should have made it further and should have made a deeper run deserve criticism. It was wide open. Grossmont's not a great team. They ended up making the CIF championship. La Jolla Country Day had the best team and the best coaches, but they also had 9 players going both ways and playing kickoff and kickoff return with a school with 300 kids. So those have to offset, in my opinion. But Country Day figured out and got it done. But man, just a blown opportunity for El Capitan, Mission Bay, West Hills. I believe those teams are going to stay in the division, so they're right where they need to be. But until these teams and their coaches mainly, because the kids can only do so much, it's the coaches that put the kids in the position to be able to have success and be able to give the team a chance to win. The coaches need a lot more accountability, and they need to change up some things from what they did last year. And I'm talking about all those teams. But we're also talking about teams that are incompetent and that have had history of being perennial losers and not being able to step up to the plate. After a certain amount of years and after having a reputation, you'd want change. But if the same adults, and adults is a key word because adults don't necessarily like to change their frame of thought or their philosophy or challenge their principles, if those are the ones leading the charge and they haven't changed, you're going to have the same results. That goes for everything in life, not just football. Remember that, kids, y'all listening. A lot of smaller schools, I thought, had opportunities to compete for the Division 5 championship. I'm very disappointed, and I want to be critical with Hoover. I don't know a team that had such a good player, and Hoover didn't just go and didn't just have the engine ran by Sir Autry. It was a good handful of players, and that's all you need when you're playing anywhere lower than Division 4 and under, is just a couple of guys to bail you out on some big plays and them to be your key players, and you'll be fine. But I thought El Cajon Valley was in a similar situation. I didn't think that Vincent Memorial and Sweetwater should have been the final. Vincent Memorial maybe because they were such a high seed, but Hoover and El Cajon Valley, in my opinion, should have had a much deeper run in the playoffs. Especially Hoover, with having such a good, prolific, dynamic player like Autry. 2001 year, only playing 10 games, is insane. Coaches could have done a better job with the talent that this team had. And that team's going to be good. I think Sir Autry is coming back, unless he transfers to another school. And I think a couple of their other players were juniors last year or this past year. So they're going to be ones to look to. But just a tough way to go out for those teams. And I'm talking about all these teams that were in those positions to be successful but squandered it. It's just my opinion, but that's what I thought. Got to do better. If the teams don't let go of their coaches or those that resign, they get another year, they get another shot. See what happens. Some key players I wanted to address. Julian Sayin, to me, obviously, was head and shoulders above every other player in the county. It wasn't even close. There's some criticism on him. I know, his size, not winning the big game. He still hasn't had a championship, and that's really disappointing for as good as a player as he was. I still blame the system that he should have been in a system where he threw the ball 35 times. I understand we have to establish the run, and that's on all levels, from youth football all the way to the NFL, but if you have a guy as good as him, you have to be able to put the ball in the best player's hands and let them go to work. But then again, they had a lot of success doing what they were doing, and they were a player too short, so I can't really complain about that. Julian Sand, again, was incredible. He could have had 1,000 more yards and probably about 13 to 15 more touchdown passes, as well as maybe 4 running, if he had a little bit more opportunity to run the offense in a way that surrounded his ability and his talents. But with everything that he did, still ended up with the silver pigskin and on his way to Tuscaloosa. So shout out to him. Brady Allen, I believe his name, Point Loma. Kid was a dog. I think Point Loma came up short in Division 2. Division 2 had some pretty good teams competing. La Jolla, Scripps Ranch, Del Norte obviously coming out being winners. Rancho Bernardo. I believe that Point Loma was playing D2, so they had a tough time, but he was Mr. Do-It-All. But I love the kid's ability. They had him playing both ways. They had him playing quarterback, and he's not even supposed to be playing quarterback. Shout out to him. He's a baller. I just hope that he has good. His grades are okay, and that he's a good character kid, because he can do it all on the football field. Shout out to him. Kevin Allen III, man, my guy. Handing the ball to him 57 times, and he's weighing 160, and just having him run up the middle with the biggest kids. Shout out to him. He was a warrior. He was a crazy player, man. I believe he committed to an FCS school. Is that right? Or a smaller school? I'm not sure, but wherever he ended up, I recall, was a great school for him. So shout out to him, man. He was that dude. And again, Helix doesn't make it as far as they do without Kevin Allen III. Helix doesn't make it to the high school football open division semifinal without Kevin Allen there. Helix doesn't win as many games as they did without Kevin Allen III. Helix goes 4-6 without Kevin Allen III. That's what I think about Kevin Allen, the 1-2-3. So if that doesn't get the message across, I don't know what will. But he's all you need to know. I think that the dude from Army Navy, and I haven't watched enough games, Ratumana Bulabaluvu, is a project player, and he has the size and the athletic ability, but with somebody that has a caliber of him being committed to the University of Washington college football playoff contending team, I thought that he should have been dominating a little bit more, especially because he's playing the worst talent and worst skill set in all of the county, being a part of Army Navy's team. Could have taken over. He could have played water boy. He could have played ref. He could have been the kicker. He could have been the punter. He could have been quarterback, and he could have been wiping everybody's towels off. But he wasn't. He didn't. And he wasn't doing it. So I was worried about him. He's arguably one of the best players coming out of the county this year and committed to one of the biggest schools, but I just didn't see it. Akili Smith Jr. is everything that I thought that he was going to be, and some more. If I were to have any sort of criticism and any sort of tip, it would be his athletic ability, because his dad was a freak athlete. I think that they'll be able to just get in the lab this summer, and he'll take care of that pretty soon and with relative ease, because everything from the waist up is money. So I'm excited for him next year. Silver Pigskin Award finalist. I'm calling it. Akili Smith Jr. It's not even close. My man from Granite. What is his name? I gotta look up his name again, guys. I still haven't made that video like I said I was going to. Maybe I will. Maybe I can make like this montage for the school he's committed to. Maybe. I don't know. The timing's not right. Jordan Glaze. Jordan Glaze, to me, should have been the defensive player of the year. They gave it to Jerome Roberts. No offense to Jerome Roberts. He's a great player. But Jordan Glaze, to me, was the best defensive player by far. And it's funny because I thought that the safety, I thought that number 20, the Parker Vance, the baseball commit dude, was the best player on defense. But when I watched Mission Viejo, when I watched the Lincoln game, the last 2 games, the most meaningful games, I saw him make the most plays. And that says a lot alone by itself, the fact that he was able to do that. But when I really watch him and I look at the way he plays and I look at his angles and the speed that he was playing with and the recognition and the instinct and the reaction time and the anticipation, I was like, this kid is something different. He is a baller, bona fide. Shout out to him, man. Jordan Glaze. He's a senior. He's graduating his next endeavor. Good luck to him. I'm watching him because players that have that feel for the game is rare. That feel is an old school trait that the John Lynches and the Urlachers had. It's rare. Doesn't get coached. It's just something. It's an it factor. I think he has that. I'm glazing right now, but that's just what I believe when it comes to someone's ability. I think Julian Sayin isn't the best quarterback that's out there in this class, but I believe the way the ball comes out of his hand is something special. Not many guys I've seen in the history can throw a ball as good as his every time's money. That's why he gets the 5-star. Just that alone. Not looking at his mechanics, not looking at his feet, because I know all those are clean and there's no problem. His size, he's a little underweight, he's a little short, but the way the ball comes out of his hand is special. That's why he gets 5 stars in my book, and that's why he won the Elite 11. So just something like that I'd look at. Teams that have a chance next year and that look good next year, Granite Hills. No surprise there. Open division, Granite Hills. St. Augustine's going to be interesting because of what happened with Coach Gladnick. If I get more info, more inside information, I'll talk about it. He's going to have an interview tomorrow, December 12th on PPR, apparently. And he's going to break word on what happened and why he got fired. I don't know what happened, but he's going to be the tell-all man, so it's going to be interesting. If he was still there, Saints is going to be the champion. They might play Granite Hills in the Open. They still might. If they retain the players from this year, they're going to play the Open Division Championship against Granite Hills. I don't foresee Lincoln making it for some reason. Lincoln gets their best player coming back, their quarterback, but I don't see them returning unless they reload, which they can. But I just feel like it was a drop-off for Lincoln, and that I don't think that Lincoln had underclassmen that were able to step up. They have a couple guys. 22 is a really good player. He's coming back. Maybe one of their little scat receivers that I don't prefer them to play on the perimeter, maybe coming back, but I don't foresee Lincoln having a strong team like Granite Hills. If Granite Hills baseball players don't come back, they might be a little depleted too. But I'm just banking on their baseball kids to return. They get their quarterback and both running backs back. I get all that. I think their O-lineman might graduate, but they'll be able to adjust because they get so much returning talent coming back from having all these underclassmen play. I think Del Norte has a senior-heavy team. I don't know what their destiny is. I'm not sure about a lot of teams in D2. I think Bishops if Bishops is able to return some guys next year, they're going to be a really good team. I think La Jolla had some seniors on their team. I'm not sure how they are. I didn't really look too exclusive into them, but if they have seniors, it's going to be tough. They got guys coming back. They're going to make a run. Grossmont has a lot of players coming back. They should be a team to watch. They have their quarterback graduating. They just need to bring in a quarterback. Transfer alert, playing for a pretty solid head coach that was a former quarterback in Lawrence. That's a good destination to be at. Mount McGill is going to be good next year. They need another transfer quarterback. They're going to get someone coming in. That's what the offseason is going to be about, a lot of anticipation for who's going to come in. I'm not sure about these North County teams. Torrey Pines and Mission Hills had a disappointing year. Mission Hills made it to the CIF, but I thought that they were the favorites, and they ended up losing. They got a lot to prove it, but more so Torrey Pines has so much to prove, losing the way they did in the first round to Madison. If Madison can come back and make a run to where they used to be, at least getting at least 3 quarters to where they used to be, that'd be a big win, and we need to give a lot more credit to Rick Jackson if he's able to pull that program out of the mud, because this year wasn't it. Mater Dei's coach had stepped down as well. He's cool. He's got all these rings on all these fingers. He don't need to prove anything else. Head coaching switches is going to be interesting. Head coaches moving around from place to place is going to be interesting. Quarterbacks, players, it's like the transfer portal era. It's the same thing happening in college. It's going to happen in high school. It's going to be really interesting looking into next year. I'll be able to report and put up videos and upload and update everybody as the year goes on. Hopefully y'all will follow. Please follow if you aren't watching basketball or participating in baseball. But it's going to be really interesting going into the off season, and this is a year-round deal. It's not like just August to December. This goes on the rest of the year while everyone's playing different sports. There's still going to be camps, 7-on-7, transfer. All these things are still going to be going on behind the scenes. Build up of rosters and coaching staffs for these new teams, and these shifts for all these coaches that left and all these players that had graduated. Spots need to be filled. It's going to be interesting. That's all I got, man. Shout out to everybody out there that's followed the channel. I appreciate the support. Please comment. Keep commenting. I want this thing to grow. I want this thing to manifest into something bigger. And I'm going to do my due diligence, putting out more content, different content, better entertainment, maybe a little, little face, expose my face, something like that. I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see how that works. We'll see how all that goes. But I'm probably going to defer and just keep my identity to myself and have y'all guess. This is Mr. Fantastic, man. That's all y'all need to know. Shout out to all the players. Shout out to the parents of the players to be able to support. Shout out to the communities out there and to the school ASB, the board, and everyone that's able to make this happen. What I learned getting a little bit older is that there's so much people and so much effort put into these that no one sees and no one gives credit to. But without them, this doesn't go, without the efforts and participation of those that we don't give credit to. Boosters, parents, donations, money being given out, parents working their jobs, putting food in the kids' mouths, as well as supporting them. Y'all are the real MVPs. Y'all deserve all the credit. Shout out to you guys. I just want to make sure I close the video with that message, because without them, football field and the Friday Night Lights don't happen. So shout out to all of them. I'm out, y'all. Another great year. Thankful to have this beautiful game in this country. And I'm looking forward to the next year as always. Everyone that's out there that graduated, that finished their year with their school, shouts out to you. We appreciate your effort. Get that graduation diploma. Those that played their last game, you got your whole lives ahead of you. Those that are playing at the next level, now this business really starts, and you better be ready. And for those juniors that are going to be rising seniors, this is your time to take over. The grind starts now. Take 1 week off, which y'all did. Only team that still should be on break is Granite. Everyone else, you better get your asses back out there, man, and get ready for 2024. Because the teams need you, and their opponents are ready for you. Let's get it.